Hello, Carrie here. Did you know that July is World Watercolour Month? I've only just found that out, which is quite timely because I'm doing some watercolour beetles. I want to be able to cut them out and use them in my art journal pages. So I'm using this lovely page from a book that my friend sent me. She knows how much I love insects. As inspiration for the beetles. I'm just getting just copying the shapes, and then I'm going to be adding my own thing to them. They're going to be my own colours. They're going to have different markings on. And so here we go. I'm just drawing them out now. I'm using an Inktense pencil because I love them, but also because when you wet them and they dry, they're waterproof. And also they fit in very well with watercolour paintings. I quite like doing the outline that melts away, melts into your paintings, and watercolour pencils and Inktense especially are very good for that. I will be going over the outlines after I've done the watercolour with ink anyway, but I'm enjoying having these at this stage. Now, part of me didn't know whether to include the limbs, the little legs and the antennae and such like, because cutting them out is very difficult. But what I've decided to do when I cut them out is I'm going to keep a white outline all around them, so that'll be okay. It doesn't matter. In fact, it does give them a bit of highlighting in your art journal page. On Wednesday, I should be putting up a video of where I've used one of these beetles in an art journal page, and you'll see what I mean. I love these shield beetle shapes. They're quite impressive. And it's one of these that I use in my art journal page on Wednesday. Well, I've done it already, but you'll see it on Wednesday. Just filling up this page. One of the things I like about beetles is they can be very colourful, and I love the ones that are like iridescent. Apparently people used to use them as jewels many, many years ago. And I can see why, actually. They are beautiful. I love this little tiny one. It's like a mayfly. Have to have a little tiny one because I can use them on smaller things as well. That's why I've got a variety of sizes. I use the smaller ones in like my circle journal, the little one that's 2.5 inches diameter, and the larger ones I can use in larger pages. I can use them in my garden journal, and I'm also going to use them in some other journals as well. They're just so colourful, I can't resist. And the final one now. There. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add some little details. I'm just using the page as inspiration, but I'm just going to do my own thing with the shapes and the patterns on the beetles, because I want them to be fanciful and not real ones. And now I'm going in with some water, just plain water, and going over the lines. This will set the Inktense pencils, and they theoretically won't run. Sometimes they do a little bit, actually. Probably because I haven't dried them properly. what I am doing now is I'm starting at the top left hand corner and working my way around so my hand doesn't splodge on the ones that are still wet. Although I do get some paint on one of them, but it doesn't matter, I'll cover it up later on anyway. I think this is the point where I do it, because I did that one on the right, it's still wet. And there you can see, oh, I've brought it in a bit closer. I got some splodging on the third one. Never mind, I'll cover it up, you won't see it later on. So you can see the Inktense colours intensify as you wet it as well. I do love them. I must get some more. I've got a few. I've had them for a long time actually. I do feel this one looks a bit like a ladybird. I didn't really want it to look like a real beetle, but it does to me. I think I'll change the colour later on so it doesn't look too ladybirdy. There we go, and I've cut out the bit, but I went over with a hairdryer to dry them. Now I'm going in with the watercolours. So what I'm doing first of all is I'm using a wet in wet technique. I'm wetting the area I want to apply colour to, doing it on 2. And then I'm going in with the colours. So a bit of raw sienna, and at the bottom I'm using some pink, no red. And I'm going to let those colours blend together. It's a bit like the way I've done my flowers and my feathers. Just going over all of this one. And I'm going to add some lovely dark purple at the bottom there. And what I do is later on I go in and tighten up the details. So I'm varying the colours on all of them so that I have some that go with, I can at least find one that goes with any page. It's a lovely turquoise colour. I'm using my travel palette. I don't know why I didn't get my studio one out. I think I do know why. This was within arm's reach. I just wanted to get it and get started. I was too impatient to get my studio one out. Doing a bit of encouraging the colour to flow a bit there. And I'm just using a small round paintbrush. little bit of opera rose in there. Oh, I love that colour. See how empty that well is. You can tell I use it a lot. I must get some more in it. I've got a tube to top it up with. Alright, now I'm going to change the colour of this one so it doesn't look too like a ladybird. Going in with some of that lovely turquoise colour. And some ultramarine blue. There, doesn't look like a ladybird now. This little one no longer looks like a mayfly now. It's got purple and blue. Oh, and with some red as well. Actually, that's the purple. Is it? Or is that the opera rose? Didn't see where I put my brush then. I like the patterns on this one. Bit more of that opera rose. Adding some to the top there. There's a bit of scarlet at the bottom there. And now I'm getting a piece of paper just to rest my hand on so I don't mess up the beetles. I'm going to go in and now do a different colour to the thorax and head area to contrast. So here I'm using ultramarine blue, I think. Yeah. We're going to do the legs as well. Just means they stand out from the actual wings of the beetle. I'm going to work in the pattern on this one. That's going to be a nice scarlet. It's a cadmium red actually. To touch in a bit more colour there, it's a bit pale. Encourage those colours to flow a bit. I think I've added a bit of yellow there by the looks of it. Adding some very lemon yellow there. And the same on the thorax. Could use some of the purple down for the thorax of this beetle. He's already got an ultramarine head by the looks of it. There. And filling in those colours in the spots. And the legs the same colour as well. Later on I will be coming along and adding some black ink and also some white ink in places. The thorax and head are ultramarine blue here, and the legs as well, by the looks of it. Not much I need to do for that little one. Using ultramarine blue for the patterns on this beetle. I'll put in the more concentrated areas where I want a bit of shading to happen. But still working wet in wet, so I'm letting the colours run into each other. Now that one's dried a bit, I'm going in to fill in the legs. Little head there. And now I'm going in with a pen. It helps to define some of the edges and tidy up some of the bits that are a bit messy. And some of the marks that got a little bit faded as I've worked on top. Once this beetle dries, the ink on this dries, I'm going to fill in some of those areas that are still white on it. Oh, gave it some antennae, that's good. Unless you haven't got any. I shall list the supplies I've used at the bottom of this in the description box below. As you can see, it does seem to finish them off by using the ink. I don't use ink with everything, but it just suits this sort of thing for art journals for me anyway. I'm taking the opportunity to put the joints in the limbs as well there. So there we go, that's 8 little adorable beetles to use in my art journals. I hope you enjoyed watching this. I'm sorry it was a bit long, but I didn't want to speed it up too much. Thank you for watching. Bye.